So I'll open the planning board meeting for Wednesday, December, my God. Wednesday, June 3rd, it's 6:30 p.m. I'll just read in a notice. Pursuant to the Governor Baker's March 12, 2020, order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Bridgewater Planning Board will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time. This meeting is being recorded, and with 48 hours, we'll post a link of this on our town's website and/or the town's social media page. The following members of the Bridgewater Planning Board are participating remotely: myself, Patrick Driscoll, Raymond DeJamian, Jean Garino, Michael McDonald, Stephen Geller, and is Mr. Akins on or not yet?
No.
Mr. Akins is not on yet. During the meeting, the votes of the board will be taken via roll call. The following town staff will also be participating: Ms. Jennifer Burke, the Community Economic Development Director; Mr. Elijah Romulus, the Assistant Town Planner; Mr. Azu Antonero, Town Engineer; Ms. Leslie Dorr, the Office Administrator. At this time, everyone's mic is muted. The board's mic will be unmuted through the whole meeting, and the items will appear on the agenda. As items appear on the agenda, the project's representatives' mics will be unmuted. If the project is a public hearing that allows for public comment, we ask that you use the chat feature to ask your question by listing your name and address and the question. The chair will recognize all questions in order. You can also use the raise my hand feature in the participant menu, and you'll be unmuted when the chair recognizes you. Again, please state your name and address for the record before asking a question. If you're on the phone, you can dial *9 to raise your hands. Okay. So the first public hearing we have is a continuation of the Town of Bridgewater zoning ordinance with Attorney Mark Borowski. We are going to discuss potentially approaching this a different way and continuing it to our next meeting. So Ms. Burke, do you want to fill in the board for discussion?
Sure. We've been asked by the sponsors of the zoning ordinance from the council to continue this out so that they can consider a possible withdrawal of this ordinance and then maybe a resubmittal of a different, more stripped down version of zoning changes for later review and discussion. So they've asked that we just continue this out, and then if and when they withdraw it, then you would just have to close your hearing and take no action. Then I would assume a new ordinance would come back before this board for review under a public hearing.
Okay, and just so we have a potential date to continue it to, because we already put it out to the public. We do have enough members available if we decide to put July 1st on as a meeting date that's not currently on as a meeting date.
I believe that's correct.
Okay. Any board discussion on it, or do we just want to continue it to July 1st to see what direction the council gives us? If they want us to proceed or step back?
If I may, I'll vote to continue to July 1st. But I just want to go on record that I'm against redoing this. It seems that we spent a couple of years putting together what I consider to be a pretty potent document, and if there are issues with it, then I think those can be dealt with. To simply withdraw the thing, if that's the way it's going to be going, and then restarting all over again and stripped down, I just think that's a mistake.
No, I as well would like to get it done. I was on the subcommittee, if you want to call it that. There's been a lot of time put into it, but I also want it to pass. So if the council thinks we should submit it in pieces, then that's what we're going to have to do. But I would like to see if we can move as much of it forward as we can.
Okay, so do we need a motion? Is that raised with motion? Or
the council has not discussed this yet as a full council in their
Correct.
meeting, correct?
Correct.
So they may tell us to proceed, they may tell us to withdraw, correct?
That's correct. And I don't believe it'll be on their agenda until the earliest June 23rd, 23rd. So July 1st would be the earliest you could take it up.
Okay.
Hey,
So-
I have a question then. If they decide on the 28th to proceed, will that give us enough time to actually do something on the 1st?
Well, yeah, if they decide to go forward as is, then we'll just go forward as is.
Including getting,
Do anything else? I'm not sure what your question is.
okay, all right, that's all.
So Gene, you didn't make a motion yet, did you?
No,
All right, so just, do we have any public that would like to comment on it? Either, in favor, against, or just, is there anybody from the public that's on that would like to speak?
Not seeing anybody.
I don't see anyone.
Okay. Any more board discussion?
Hey, Pat, I raised my hand.
Carlton would like to speak.
Oh, Carl, I'm sorry. I can't see that, Carlton. I'm sorry.
I didn't see Carlton before.
I didn't see it raised. I'm sorry, Carlton. Go ahead.
No, all I'm going to ask is, I agree with, as public input for your hearing, I agree with Mr. Jemian and yourself that we need not step back from this. We have asked repeatedly in public meetings that details be provided. So I think it's very wise to stop for a moment, but also piece this out so that we can get, there's some legal things, Mass General Law things, there's some language. And I would like to see an actual plan put forward, depending on what the council says. I would like to see a sequence and a plan as to exactly how we're going to proceed, since it's been so confusing over the last 2 years. Thank you.
If we don't go forward as is, correct?
Don't know why this, what happened to this, that it is.
So you're listening through your phone?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Janet Hanson, she typed a message.
Yeah, I'm gonna unmute her.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Am I on?
Yeah.
Hi, Janet Hanson, 665 Pleasant Street, Bridgewater. I don't understand what's going on. I know tonight's meeting you were going to further discuss because the attorney missed the last two meetings. Is he not in today? I couldn't had trouble clicking on. So I don't know. I guess he's not here today, but I don't understand what's happening. What is it that is going on with the zoning ordinance?
Ms. Burke?
We have been asked by the counselors that have sponsored this zoning ordinance to continue it out further so that they can consider how to proceed. They may consider a possible withdrawal of this ordinance. And so because we've been asked to continue it, I reached out to Attorney Bobrowski, who was prepared to attend tonight, and told him he did not need to attend.
Oh, so does that mean that it's going to be all these questions that the public had? Is that playing into this decision to have them do it more?
I can't speak to that.
You can't
I
tell.
I can't speak to that.
I just wasn't expecting this, so I just don't. I mean, could be a good thing, but I don't understand. I don't understand what the process or it just took me off guard, and I'm sure other people. So I'm trying to understand the process of why this is happening. I don't know how else to ask my question.
I don't know how else to answer other than just say that, the counselors that have sponsored it, Counselor Columbotus and Counselor Loesch, have, maybe made some decisions regarding whether or not they feel that this, is going to pass, or that this is an endeavor that they want to relook at, or maybe it needs to be addressed in a different way. I can't speak for them, so I don't know, but those are maybe the options that they want to relook at. They could decide that they wanted to proceed as it goes forward, but they've just asked us to continue it out a little further so that they can make that decision.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Question, if you push it out to July 1st, are you expecting or going to, and they say they want us to continue, would we be expecting Attorney Bobrowski to come to that meeting? Would July 1st be good for him?
Yeah, I have not confirmed that with him yet, but I would make sure that he would be available at the next hearing.
Yeah.
Looks like there's Lawrence Silva's raised his hand for a comment. Let's see. You are unmuted. Or if you can unmute yourself, I'm trying to unmute you.
Not unmuted. Didn't happen?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I guess that my question is, was there a specific document or something, or a letter or something that was forwarded to prompt this change?
No, I was asked by the two counselors and the town manager specifically earlier this week.
So there's no paper trail as to what the reasons were or anything as to
No.
why they wanted to do that?
That's correct.
Wouldn't that be procedurally, if I wanted to continue a meeting, wouldn't I procedurally have to provide a letter asking that?
You would, but the planning board can continue their own hearing if they choose to.
But but it's not you doing that. It's actually, you're saying you're responding to the town manager.
No,
and
we've
the
been
council.
we've been requested to. They don't have to do it. The planning board is just saying
No,
whether or not they want
I
to.
understand that. But Jennifer, if tomorrow they said, we never said that to you, what would you have to say otherwise?
Well, at that point, we'd just proceed, because with this, I mean, we could continue to discuss it tonight, but I think.
No, but I'm just looking at it from a paper trail kind of point of view. It's like Jennifer's saying what they said. And I'm just wondering, why isn't it that they don't communicate in some way that is to the board itself? That's all. I agree that it needs a lot of changes. I think it was too comprehensive and too much. It was first dubbed to be an administrative review of the bylaw. It got to be a hell of a lot more than that. So that's all I got.
Comment? Are you all done, Mr. Silver? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm done.
Don't go too far though, because you're next.
Okay.
We have a comment from Melissa Raymondetta, Lakeside Drive. Will the public be able to write their comments to the attention of the town council? ? Thank you.
When the ordinance gets back before the council for a public hearing, there will be a public hearing and the public will have the opportunity to provide comments to the council.
Any more? If there's not, do we have a motion to continue?
I'll make a motion to continue the zoning ordinance to July 1st at
I'll second.
6:30.
Do we have any seconds?
I'll second that.
Michael? We're not cutting anybody off that's waiting to chat or talk, correct?
I don't see any hands raised or comments in the chat, so no.
So any discussion by the board? Other than the comments already stated? All right.
Yeah, I would just reiterate, I forgot who brought it up, that Attorney Bobrowski be notified to possibly attending the July 1st meeting.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, so this is a roll call vote to go to July 1st at 6:30. Mr. Geller?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Garino?
Yes.
Mr. Jamian?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Did Mr. Akins ever join us?
I don't see him, but
Yeah, I don't see him.
Who seconded the motion?
Mr.
I did.
McDonald?
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so I don't have the legal, because this was advertised since our last meeting, so the legal ad was not in our packet. So next up on the agenda, we have 365 Elm Street, which is a major site plan modification and a special permit modification. Or is it a special permit? So do
The
we have?
major
do we know-
modification and special permit.
So do we know that that's been advertised?
Yes.
Yes.
Does somebody that has it want to read in the public hearing notice? Because I don't have a copy of it.
For the special permit public hearing notice, it reads, on June 3rd, 2020 at 6:30 p.m., the Bridgewater Planning Board will be conducting a public hearing on an application by Freddie Arola for a special permit under section 5.10, non-conforming building and uses at property located at 365 Elm Street, map 58, lot 38. The proposed modification includes a 500 square foot garage and office space. The public hearing will be held as a virtual meeting over Zoom. A link and instructions to participate in the meeting will be posted to the calendar on the town's website at bridgewater.org. A recording of the meeting will be posted to the town's website within 48 hours after the meeting. All interested persons are encouraged to attend.
Okay, and that's the site, that's the same ad again for the site plan, correct?
Well, the site plan was just continued to the date. This
Okay.
is just for the special permit.
Okay, so did we send this to police, fire, and all the departments, and did we get any comments back?
We did not receive any comments from the departments.
So we'll turn it over to Mr. Solar if he's still on, right?
Yes, I am.
So why don't you go ahead, Mr. Solar?
I just want to acknowledge that Bill Akins has joined the meeting as well.
Okay.
So at this point here, would this be that you've opened the continuation of the site plan and also opened up the special permit at the same time?
Correct, because we do them in conjunction, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We provided the receipts for the notification on the special permit. Those were sent over. And we've sent over electronically the minor plan changes in the site plan. But also we sent over hard copy, which is probably in quarantine right now. So not sure when you guys will actually have.
I picked it up today. I picked it up today. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So where we left off last time, there was really not much as far as additional discussion on the site plan that was needed. There were really two issues. One was there was a little bit of housekeeping on the parking calculation and illustration of that on the plan. And the second had to do with the driveway entrance. And so what we've done is modified the plan in order to put bollards at the property line, at the entranceway, which adjoins the 40B housing project to the right, to make sure that there won't be any additional trucks coming in onto their property when they're entering into the site. We did look at the second curb cut that was put in front of this property as part of the Elm Street improvements to see if there was some way that we can incorporate that into this site design. But given the constraints of the narrow site, it really wasn't of any benefit. And so we have not utilized that second potential curb cut as part of the design. There were some photographs that we also provided to show the current conditions, because there was some discussion about his operation and, you know, what it looked like and so forth. And there were some photographs that were provided. I don't know if those were helpful or not. And Freddie is on the meeting with us for any specific questions that he had. There was I guess it wasn't mentioned, and I just want to mention it, that Jennifer, you had sent over a copy of an email from an abutter that I don't know if that's being read into the record or not. But aside from that, I think that we've addressed the items that were asked for. I was resistant to actually seeking a special permit because I didn't feel as though that he was in the position where he would have needed to do that. But after discussions with Jennifer and others, that we decided that we would go forward and do it with the understanding that the special permit is really just for the purposes of the modification to his current operation, not whether or not his operation is legal or not. And by the way, just for clarification, I think there was some confusion by some members as to which zone his property was located in. It's actually in the industrial A zone, not the industrial E zone, which is an allowed use.
All right, just looking at the site plan, Mr. Silva, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So the site has two uses, the commercial out front and the residential out back. So out front, you're proposing just 12 vehicle spots?
Some feedback. I don't know where that feedback's coming from, but it's not coming from here, I don't think.
No, I fixed it.
Okay. So the parking spaces, there's a parking table data in the lower right side of the site plan, which shows for the commercial space, the office space, and the residential space, what's required. And we have these spaces labeled with letters in circles as the type of spaces that they are.
So all the Cs are commercial?
The C is a customer. I believe the C was customer. Let me see. That would be for the customer. Oh, there's a C, and then there's a, boy, my eyes are bad.
So you have
I think C is for commercial and D is for display.
D is for display. That's correct.
And R is the residential.
And R is the residential.
So altogether, there's 21 spots, and then there's 2 tractor trailer spots. Because you have commercial spaces out back in front of the residence, correct?
Yes. That's customer. That's customer parking there.
So there's 20. So right now, one of the pictures shows that there's a bunch of vehicles lined up along the old Cedar Village property line.
Which picture is that, please?
An aerial, the only picture that we have, it's an aerial photo of the site. It shows a number of vehicles lined up along the old Cedar Village property line.
No, there's no parking along that side. That's just an entrance and the driveway access along there. If there is an aerial that showed something there, I would suggest that's probably was, I don't know. It could have been somebody picking up a vehicle. Could have, I don't know.
So, so the bottom line is that all these spots are going to be painted and lined and all that?
Yes.
Okay. And how many vehicles are proposed? So there'll be no more vehicles than there are provided spaces allowed on the site, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And on the plan, you show the 2016 approval?
Yes.
But we're really modifying the 2006 approval, aren't we?
Yeah, there was some discussion. Azu's on the line, I think, and there was some discussion about the fact that because the 2006 approval was never acted upon.
The 2016 was never acted upon.
16 wasn't acted upon, that this became really a modification of the original approval.
So
That
the
would be
plan-
correct.
The plan will be updated to reflect the 2006 conditions.
Well, let's back up here 1 second. Mr. Chairman, Azu here. What you have before you is what was existing in 2006. And in 2016, we're not looking at it because they withdrew the application in 2016.
Where it expired.
Mr. White, okay? So what you have before you right here is exactly what's being proposed and what they're seeking approval for. So there is no need to draw yet another plan. You have the existing dwelling and you have the existing garage and you see the proposed modifications. That's what's before you. So trying to create another plan will conflate and confuse the issues. So the question before the board is the existing garage, the existing dwelling, the proposed parking, the proposed garage as well, and the proposed office, and the overhead. That's what's
Right. So, but I think we want to decide what we want to keep from 2016, what we want to add to, and what we want to remove, because right now the plan shows the 2016 conditions.
But because 2016 doesn't exist.
Correct.
Withdraw it. So what you have before you is a modification of an existing garage, an existing dwelling, and they're adding to it. And so you are considering what's before you. I think you might unwittingly be complicating the application.
No, Azu, all I'm asking is that his submission, it says modification to a site plan. The first page has 2016 conditions on it. Those don't even apply because that plan expired.
But
Well, when we made the application originally, that was the conditions that we knew that were in place. But as a result of the meeting we had last time, the board's position was that those conditions really did not apply because it expired. They did, it was voted, and those were the conditions, but they weren't acted upon. So I don't know where you want to go with that. I mean, you could say that you'd utilize the same conditions that were from 2016. That's really the board's prerogative.
All right. Well, I guess my point is that's either going to be removed or updated, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Just a question. If it was already voted on, aren't we obliged to keep whatever was voted on?
The plan expired.
Special permit is good for 2 years.
Right.
And so if the approval isn't acted upon within that and no extension was requested and granted by the board, then technically it's that approval expires.
Right.
Or administratively it does.
Right, so it's as if it never happened.
It's not protected at that point. I would suggest to you that the board has the prerogative to issue the same conditions on this plan, or because it had lost its protection, that they could modify the conditions on it.
Well, they have to modify those conditions only because of what you have here.
Right.
So conditions that are not going to be written if the board elects to approve the project, the conditions will have to be reflect the plan that they're approving.
Right.
Now, what about snow? If there's any snow, what happens with that? Is the storage area back there by the house?
Yeah, the storage area was shown to be towards the back near the house. There's not a lot of room to store, but if he doesn't take it off-site, then he's really gonna not have the ability to operate So if he can't, there's a snow storage area shown to the rear of the house. So he has to be in a position to be able to move snow to that area or move it off site in order to be able to go back to business. So that's really behooves him to make sure the site's nice and clean in order to be able to continue his livelihood.
Yeah, because that's all wetlands back there, right? After,
Well, there's more wetlands to the side. There is wetlands further back. So he has to stay in an area that's only, outside of the 25 foot from that wetland. So it's not a lot of room. It's what happens in wintertime conditions, just like in a parking lot somewhere in a commercial plaza, is you end up you give up some of your parking in order to be able to have storage. So in that case, in the winter, it would not be unusual for him to lose some of those spaces, those truck spaces that are on the left side of the house, and just be able to store snow along that edge, or on the right side. Either way, just basically you have to have a place for it.
yeah.
On the right side, he had a leaching field, but because sewer is, on the street now, that's going to afford him the ability to be connected to sewer and not have to have that area set aside for that too.
Lucky him.
Any more board comments?
Yeah, can we go back to the front entrance area? So it was my understanding from the last meeting is that the applicant originally requested for that second entrance to be put in.
I'm not aware that he requested that.
Or somebody asked him if he wants it.
No, he requested before he actually, I'll ask, before he contacted Mr. Silva to do this work.
Okay.
He approached the town and all the business that is doing, that he would like to have a second access to be able to exit better, because the town, he have worked with the town, giving the town some temporary easements and for drainage and all that. And so we agreed that we will extend him a second driveway at a time. And then I also waive the tie-in fee for the sewer. They will still pay for a contractor to do the work. And that was the deal that the town manager ordered, authorized, and executed. So, but anyway, it appears that now, based on what he wants to do, as explained by Mr. Silva, that second driveway after all will not be beneficial to him, since it would affect his ability to park cars on that section.
So the question that I posed from that is, these drawings should probably show that entrance does exist. And what are you going to do, or are you going to do anything to prevent vehicles from coming in through that entrance should there not be cars parked in front? Because it is essentially a curb cut, and people will miss the first entrance or the second entrance, and they'll turn it quick and go over the grass or whatever you plan on putting out there. Are you going to be proposing anything to keep cars from using that?
Well, I think it will be probably similar to the driveway that Dr. Kearns has on his property when he came before the board, and added the existing dwelling that's the red colored building that he added.
Mm-hmm.
The board didn't make him close the driveway. The board said is you can put a chain across that. So, and in this particular case, if cars are parked there and he's proposing a curbing along that stretch, people coming in, after a while, just like what happens at locations that you are used to going to, after a while, it's basically regular customers and people that work there, and they will get used to it rather quickly. because there are, Mr. Geller, the other reason too, it might not behoove him to close it off, and I would not advocate that to him, is that we have uses where people can park there because it's a customer-based repair business, as well as himself and his employees. So when they park there, and they were actually primarily we're going to use that for exit. You can always move a car, people go out and put the car back, and that's how these operations work. That's really how these operations work. It's like when
are you suggesting we ask for a chain or a gate there?
Yeah, you can ask for a chain across that. But it will not be any. But it will not be any different.
Yeah, chains fall down. I'm not a big fan of them, and I don't really like the look of them, to be honest with you. I just didn't know if they were putting any type of guardrail up going across or anything else. The only other thing that maybe I know that and I appreciate that the curb cuts align with the property and everything else, and you're proposing that putting up 3 bollards is to what, keep vehicles from going onto that dirt
Yes,
area?
that's correct. I mean, I need a way to keep them from going on that other side of the property line.
I get it. I was going to ask if you would consider putting in a guardrail instead of bollards. Because once the 3 bollards go there, if he gets overloaded and it's an open area, people are going to back into that, go around the bollards, or extend them back.
Well, you're talking about, I understand that, but you're also talking about aesthetics, I don't think a guardrail in front of that area looks good.
It's industrial, and it's around the corner. So the 3 bollards really look better.
But you're also talking about,
I'm talking a wooden guardrail, not metal.
Well, maybe he can put in a wood post and railing.
No, a guardrail with, it has steel beams that go in the ground and it's wood going across versus steel and metal.
And you're talking about the initial entrance.
That's correct.
Where he's proposing to put in the 3 bollards.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's very easy to go around those bollards. And I know that you plan on looming and seating because that's what it says. But if that doesn't take, it's very easy for somebody to pull in and then back a vehicle into that area. And I'm just saying, if you extended a wooden guardrail down that section, it would definitely close it off.
Freddie, do you have any comment?
I wanted to kind of a little bit understand what are you talking about now you're talking about the first entrance, right?
That's correct. Because the board was concerned that the trucks were coming into the neighboring property as opposed to coming directly into your property. So they were asking for there to be some protection there so that doesn't occur. We were proposing to put in 3 bollards, steel posts, spread out in order to make sure that the trucks stay to your side of that line. And what's being proposed is, instead of doing that, to do it with like a wooden guardrail, a heavy wood kind of guardrail.
Like the one you guys put in the street now on the other side?
Yeah, like the one that up the street from you, Freddie.
Okay.
Something similar to that.
Okay, and that's gonna be on the Silver Village side you're talking about, right?
Just on the right side coming in for just a short distance.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you want to, so that line you're showing finally intersects right at that arrow? Wouldn't you want that guardrail to go from that point to that intersection point?
I would extend it down the length, not just where your 3 bollards are.
Down to the intersection point.
No, because that is the town road. We're not going to let him put our stuff in town property.
It's not town property. That's along. The right now, the existing driveway is shown on Old Cedar Village property to where the two-way arrows are.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the three ball is there.
Wouldn't it make sense to extend the guardrail to that intersection point, so the trucks
Right.
stay off the Old Cedar Village
Right,
property?
right, from there to the street line, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
thought you-
that's what I'm
I thought-
asking.
Yes, I thought you were asking for him to extend it westerly to the street pavement.
No.
Okay,
No.
okay, no.
At the intersection point, you'll see a small triangle, you'll see a triangle,
Yes,
a narrow
no,
triangle.
that makes sense.
To the,
intersection.
to the length of the encroachment area is what you're saying.
Yes,
Okay.
So Mr. Geller brings up a good point about the second egress. How are we looking to address that, Mr. Silva?
Well, we were gonna have vehicles parked in front of there. So, I mean, it's really, I mean, I don't wanna have anything that's going to be tall, because it would take away from being able to see a vehicle on display. I mean, if it were, I mean, I guess a section of that type of fence may be the same kind that we're talking about, just a single kind of, in that case, like a single rail across that area. I mean, I don't know as though it's aesthetically gonna be very good, but the way that's actually improved, but not totally improved, it really isn't going to be another driveway option at that point. I mean, I think it's nice to have it there should there ever be a change in either the building or the use that may require that or not need that area right in front. But it really doesn't have any real utility right now, because you're gonna have a vehicle parked, you got vehicles parked right in a row there. So I don't really see that that's gonna be used for any other purpose.
And the parking lines will be striped, so
That's
that,
correct.
yeah.
I mean, you want parking stops in those in that area? If we put parking stops in front of those spaces that are on that side, the concrete parking stops,
Might not be a bad idea if somebody won't go rolling out into the street.
well, I mean, at least that'll take the use of that away, unless, but it would not take it away permanently if they ever came back to you for some other reason that wanted to use it, then, I mean, removing those parking stops wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, I think that's a good middle ground, and it doesn't just detract from the display purposes of the space.
Right, exactly.
Mr. Geller?
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Any other board questions or comments?
Yeah, is there currently any kind of hours of operation restriction on the site?
6 to 6, correct? Can you blow up Mr. Romulus, can you go to the old conditions of approval? Well, I have a copy of the 2006.
Yeah.
So the 2006 said 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturdays.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Is that the same that's on the plan?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
It's on number 3 on the plan.
I mean, I personally, even though it's an industrial zone, I'd like to keep that because it does have a residence on the property. And there are 3 uses on the property, and it abuts a residential property that was there prior to their approval, even though it's in an industrial zone.
But I would like the record to say that the reasoning for it would not be related to that residential, because that residential imposed itself into an industrial area, and it would set a very bad precedent to be
No,
saying that.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
But I'd like to keep the hours that are on there.
Freddie, do you understand those hours? Do you have any concern about those hours, or?
No, I'm, oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm okay to keep with whatever was set up from the beginning. I think that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
And are there any other board, if you want to go back to the site plan, Mr. Romulus? Any other board comments? I know we received an abutter letter. Do you have the ability to put that up as the abutter, or is there anybody from the public that would like to speak? Do you see anybody from the public that would like to speak, Mr. Romulus?
Yeah, no one's raised their hand.
We did receive an abutter letter though, correct?
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's on either.
Yeah.
Do you have the ability to read that into the record, or?
I have it.
Do you have it, Jean?
I have it. Yes, someplace here.
Would you mind reading that in?
Let me find it. I just had it in my hand. Where did I put it? There it is. I have it. Okay, we received an email today from Bill Shalleys at 29 Old Cedar Village to the planning board. Hello, I'm going to try and attend the planning board meeting tomorrow. Due to a work commitment, I may not be able to. My name is Bill Shalleys and I live at 29 Old Cedar Village. The back of my unit is less than 30 feet to 365 Elm Street. When I bought this unit back in 2006, 365 Elm Street was just one house on their lot. There was no garage, and it didn't have the number of vehicles on the property that it has today. The building of the current garage space at 365 Elm Street began shortly after we moved in, and the approval process for the building of the garage may have taken place before I purchased this unit. Living so close to 365 Elm Street is very challenging at times. We are unable to open our windows most days and are sometimes woken up at night due to loud noises from their current garage space, 7 days a week at all hours of the day, and the coming and going of tractor trailers at all hours of the day, and at times those trucks are left idling for an excessive amount of time, and being so close to 365 Elm Street, it feels like those trucks are in my bedroom. Along with noises from their garage and trucks on their property, their dogs bark constantly all day and night long, and someone at 365 Elm Street is taken up playing the drums, which they do outside on their deck. I believe someone called the police on them due to the noise from the drums recently. With working from home for the last 3 months due to COVID-19, it's been extremely challenging even with all the windows closed. It can be difficult to have a phone conversation because of the noise coming from 365 Elm Street. There is a good chance that I'll be working from home until at least September, and my company is discussing moving a large percentage of employees to a full-time work from home roles. And with the current situation at 365 Elm Street, would have a negative impact on my working ability. I understand that 365 Elm Street needs to earn a living, but they are having a negative impact both personally and professionally on at least 10 units at Old Cedar Village that abut 365 Elm Street. Are there certain days and hours that they are allowed to work that will cause excessive noises? Or are they free to operate at any time, day or night, including weekends? Does the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection Noise Control Regulation 310 CMR 7.10 have any bearing on the property at 365 Elm Street? I couldn't find anything online for areas that are zoned for both residential and industrial uses. If what the owners of 365 Elm Street are proposing in this meeting will add to the already excessive noise coming from their property, tools, trucks, dogs, and drums, I would be strongly against it, as I'm sure other residents of Old Cedar Village would also be. If you have any questions or would like to discuss further, please let me know. I'm hoping my call at 6 tomorrow will be over by 6:30. Regards, Bill Shallys, 29 Old Cedar Village.
Well, there are hours of operation that we should, or the abutter could call, the police department after those hours.
And those hours were put in place in 2006?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm not a big fan of having hours restrictions on things, but if that's already in play, that's great. It's already part of the deal. And I don't think I think the owner has agreed to those hours, right?
Correct.
So I don't think tying any future work to a plan should have anything to do with the noise coming from it, as long as if that's a legal issue, whether or not we don't enforce that would be the police that would enforce that.
Our only responsibility would be hours of operation.
Right.
That would be correct. And just a point of information, the statement about the mixed-use zoning that is inferred in that email is incorrect. It's in zone industrial. The residential development came in as a 40B, never would have been allowed in that area, and it would be to begin with. So it's important to recognize that. And as Ms. Guarini said, and I believe Mr. Geller said the same thing, or maybe Mr. Aiken, about the hours of operation. That's really it. I mean, you can't regulate, you can't put a condition of approval talking about, oh, well, you're playing drums or you're not playing drum, or a dog is barking. That is not really what is before you.
Right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Geller.
Yeah. This is Larry Silver.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to insult Mr. Geller. Sorry.
My apologies too. Listen, so the idea that that this is near that residential, and he made the comment about that his unit is 30 feet from 365 Elm. I mean, that goes back to the amount of density that was allowed for that 40B, and actually that 40B project should have taken into account that the fact that it was being constructed or being proposed in an industrial area, that it should have been providing buffers built into that project as part of that development. I mean, that's not something that either Freddie nor anyone else that abuts that project or the other 40B should really have to be dealing with. That's something that should have been a feature of the 40B project, given the location of it in the industrial zone.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think we have too much disagreement on that point there.
No.
Okay, any other board discussion?
Actually, I have a question about the proposed garage too. Wouldn't that help reduce the sound? I'm thinking if you're doing work or you're starting up a truck inside of a garage, or you're doing more work inside of a garage, or even playing the drums inside of a garage, it would be quieter than doing it out on a patio.
Well, our zoning says all work on cars has to be done inside, correct, anyway? So that should be happening inside now already.
But starting up the trucks and stuff, I don't know. It seems like the garage would be a quieter place. More garage, less noise.
Yeah, you're right. and Freddie, I think that the playing of the drums has now been relocated to being somewhere down the street, not near you either, right?
Yeah.
So Mr. Silver, is there a dumpster location or a trash location on the site? How is trash handled for the business?
You go back to the site plan.
Yeah. I wish Rebecca would have given me one that was actually readable at my age.
That may be part of the problem. I just can't see it, so. Is there a dumpster location, Mr. Romulus?
Let me take a look.
Get my other computer too.
I think that we were originally saying that it was being kept inside the garage area. But Freddie, were you planning on having a dumpster on the outside of the site, or were you taking care of any kind of waste storage inside the actual garage area?
Can you please repeat the question for me?
In other words, what they're asking about is that we're not, I'm not seeing on here that we actually show a dumpster.
Okay.
So what they're asking is, should there be one illustrated on the site plan, or were you handling the waste inside the actual garage?
It is, yeah, it is.
That's what I recall.
Yeah, it is inside. That's why probably it's not showing there, because I have a big tank that we put all the waste that we do. And then I have a company that comes, whatever we call it is ready to go. They just come and get it, and they just took it out from the inside. And the regular trash, we just gotta have a company that does that.
Then that's just a rollout from the house, right? You're saying the regular,
Yes.
the regular, like the blue barrel kind of?
Yeah, that kind. Yeah, because there's not much at the trash to have unless but in the garage, when I have like a mount that I is too much, I usually myself going to the wasting place here in town, Bridgewater, and waste it there. That's the way we've been doing it, and it's not really much. But the wasting definitely is inside the garage, and then we taking care from inside with the company that comes to do that for us.
So a condition that there will be no waste stored outside is okay with you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, is there any other questions or comments? Do we have any public that would like to speak? Staff?
Actually, I have another quick question. I don't know what type of regulations we can do and stuff like that, but has there been any discussion between the two parties about noise reduction or anything like that? Like maybe they could put up a barrier of some sort, or not saying it's required, but just work together as good neighbors.
I think all we can do is encourage that, right?
Okay.
Any other comments or public comments or motion, if we have no more public comments or comments in general, to close the site plan public hearing?
I just want to, I guess, based on the discussion, the two conditions and in addition to the standard ones.
Well, we can talk about those when we deliberate after closing the public hearings, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I have 6 that I wrote down. So why don't we, if we can we close? Do we have a motion to close the site plan public hearing?
So moved.
Any discussion?
The second, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
By Jean. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh,
Roll call.
I know.
Keep you on your toes.
Mr. Geller?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Guarino?
Yes.
Mr. Jamian?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay. So now should we also close the special permit public hearing? Do we have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Geller?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Guarino?
Yes.
Mr. Jamian?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm a yes. Okay, so as a board, let's discuss it. So we have a recommendation from the Romulus to include the standard conditions, but we talked about some other conditions in addition. We wanted to maintain the same hours as the 2006 decision, which were Monday through Friday, 6 to 6. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yes.
And Saturday, 7 to 5?
Yes.
Okay. I also had a condition that the number of vehicles parked on the site should be limited to the number of approved spaces on the site plan. I also had all vehicles must be parked in marked spaces. I had that all spots shall be painted and marked and markings maintained. I had a guardrail, steel in the ground and wood horizontal. Should replace the ballards, but also extend to the intersection point, which is roughly where those two directional arrows are shown. I have that concrete stops shall be placed on the spots in front of the second access, and it appears that there are 3 spots there labeled D, which is display. And we also talked about no waste or dumpsters shall be kept or stored outside. I guess other than those maybe residential totes, we don't want to exclude those. Is there anything I missed writing down from our conversations or anything that we want to strike or add to?
Chairman, is it possible to comment?
Sure.
On that guardrail, the description that you had, does it have to be restrictive to say that the posts have to be steel? Because it could be that they might be done with all wood. I
don't have an opinion on that. I mean, Mr. Geller, do you have a
heavy duty? You know what I'm saying?
That's fine.
Yeah, that's what they have up as you head towards the new big monster of a building that they're building up on the northern end of the of Elm Street. So all wood post and wood railing. So and that would aesthetically fit better.
Yeah, that's what I prefer to see as well.
So we want to change that to all wood?
Yeah, that's fine. I have one more question, just looking at the site plan. The parking space in front that has the hash on it, what is that?
Handicaps painting.
Okay.
Is that correct, Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Now, is that, I know we're in deliberation, but that's paved, correct?
Yes.
That's going to be properly signed, you'll have a sign in front of it?
Yes.
And I just have a question about, you said that the vehicles have to be in that condition about having to be in spaces. How would that be enforced?
Well, I think it's just, we want to state that for public safety purposes. So if a vehicle has to get to the rear of the house and it doesn't turn into a junkyard, and it limits the number of vehicles on the property so it doesn't turn into a junkyard, and there's proper safety access from a public safety standpoint.
Yeah, I still don't get it, but
Just for a point of information, all the conditions of planning board site plan or special permit are enforced by the building commissioner.
So if there's a complaint about cars parked behind Old Cedar Village, they could complain, and, Does anybody, that's what I wrote down from our discussion and conversation. Does anybody dislike any of those or want to add to them, or?
yeah, my only concern with that is you're talking out, and maybe I'm just being too much of a stickler for rules, but you're running a business, you can park, sometimes you move a car, you park it somewhere for a while, you move a truck somewhere.
I don't think that's the intent. I think the intent is that once in a while, I think it's okay, Mr. Akins, but just they're showing a circulation pattern on the property for public safety and access. I think we want to make sure that that's maintained. And the way to maintain it is by having them park in the spaces.
Yeah, I agree.
Kaiser, calm down.
All right, so any other conditions that we'd like to add? Anyone?
Mike, Mr. McDonald, is that your dog?
Yeah, he's.
He asked you, the dog can't get to you.
Well, he's saying, he's saying the meeting is going on too long.
It wasn't mine. It wasn't mine.
I don't know.
So we have our normal conditions with the conditions that I proposed. Did you get all those, Mr. Romulus?
Yes, I did.
So the dumpster, the number of vehicles limited, all vehicles must be parked in marked lines, all spots shall be painted, marked, and maintained. A guardrail should be replaced at the ballards to the intersection point, and that can be all wood. Concrete stops shall be placed at the spots in front of the access, and no waste outside, which I already said. So do we have a motion? Can we just do one motion for this, Mr. Ramos, the site plan and the special permit?
You have to determine, vote on the major modification and then vote on the special permit.
Okay, so you want us to determine that it's a major modification, then vote on the special permit, correct?
Yes.
Didn't we already determine it was a major modification at the last meeting? It's on the agenda as a major modification.
Yeah, vote for the, you have to vote to approve the major modification and then vote for the special permit.
Vote for the major modification with conditions or the special permit with conditions?
The special permit with conditions.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the major modification of the site plan?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the major modification of the site plan.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Geller. Do we have any discussion? Mr. Jamian?
Yes.
Mrs. Garino?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Geller?
Yes.
I'm a yes, okay. So now we have a special permit. Do we have a motion to approve the special permit with the normal conditions and with the other conditions that we discussed tonight being, do you want me to repeat those again, Mr. Ramos, or do you want to repeat them? Do you want to repeat them for us?
You can repeat them. I have them down.
Just to make sure you have them, do you want to repeat them?
Sure. So parking spots in front of the property will have the parking stops. No waste to be stored outside of the buildings on the premise. Maintain hours from the 2006 decision. Number of vehicles limited to the approved parking spaces. Vehicles shall remain in the marked spaces. The spaces will be striped, and a guardrail will be installed at the additional curb cut.
Well, I think the additional curb cut, no, that's not right. You said at the additional curb cut?
Yes.
No, it's going to be installed at the existing curb cut where the 3 ballards are shown all the way to the intersection point, which is.
It will be shown, put it this way, Elijah. It should be shown, the guardrail shall be installed along the southerly line of the proposed driveway to the point where it intersects the old driveway line.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd just add that those parking spots be striped and maintained. And that the hours that we discussed from the 2006 decision were Monday through Friday, 6 to 6, Saturday, 7 to 5, and no hours on Sunday.
Yes, those will be included in the decision.
Okay. So do we have a motion to approve our approve the special permit with our standard conditions and with the conditions that we just discussed added.
I'll make a motion to approve the special permit with the standard conditions plus the conditions as the additional conditions as stated.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Jamian,
Yes.
Mr. Greeno,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Mr. Geller,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do you want to go back to the agenda, Mr. Armand?
Will be it for me, guys? Oh,
You're all set.
okay. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, you too.
Wait a minute, we just approved the special permit. What about the site plan?
You
We
did that before.
You did?
Yeah.
First.
You approved the site plan was the major modification. That's what you approved first, and then you approved the special.
All right.
You did it backwards, but yeah, you did it.
Okay, so we have a, next up on the agenda, we have an Oldfield Estates bond calculation and lot release. Mr. Romulus?
I'm gonna bring up the, just give me 1 second. Yeah, so the applicant asked for a road bond calculation and a release of lots 1 to 14, 56. Highway superintendent has confirmed the bond calculated at $378,630.
That's the wrong one, Elijah.
378,630?
That's the one they've already released. Bond. I had sent the board additional information.
I think it was 189.80.
Yep. Hold on.
189,990.
Yep.
180,990.
All right, I have 10 dollars.
That was set by the highway on April 30th.
Okay, and then that's for lots, and it's for lots 15 to 43.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes,
wait a minute now. How many permits would that, how many releases would that constitute? 'Cause I just want,
That releases all the lots, is it?
okay, but we are not, that does not trigger the condition about accessing Edberg Circle until after the 42nd building permit, right?
Correct, because that's permits, not lots.
Okay, very good.
So this releases all the lots, Ms. Burke?
I believe so.
So what about our 10% rule?
What? Well, I always forget about that because they don't.
We usually hold our 1 or 2 lots.
One lot or 10%, or 10%, which is ever greater, is what's in our rules and regs.
So how many lots are we talking? 53 lots?
Attorney Castanetti's here if you'd like to speak with him. I can unmute him. I thought he was here anyway.
He is here.
Do we have can you pull it?
I am here.
Lee, does this release all your lots there?
This is the remaining 29. The 27 were released previously, and this is the remaining 29, correct. I also would make a point that in light of the fact that along the way you increased your contingency to 50%, I'm really not sure that a 50% contingency and a holdback of lots isn't grossly excessive.
That's a fair point, Mr.
No,
Chairman.
I agree. I don't think the board's intent was when we had the 10% was ever to have a 50% contingency, so.
That's correct. But I would rather have the 50% contingency than otherwise. So let's keep our 50% contingency because of the problems. Well, the reason we came up with that, it wasn't grabbing it wasn't just grabbing a number out of our proverbial rear ends. It was based on the fact that we got stiffed a few times, and when we try to come up with the budget problems, it was a lot more than 25%. So I will keep the 50% contingency.
I mean, we still, has there been any progress on the open space, Attorney Castaneda?
No, it's held by the HOA, and I'm not sure what the town's preference is.
Has a conservation restriction been put on either piece on the Bridgewater Preserve or Oldfield? Yet?
No. And again, it's, depending on who the ultimate, who the land is ultimately conveyed to.
Right, if it goes to an HOA or something, you want the conservation restriction, right? If not.
If it's an HOA, but if the town decides that the town wants to take title, I don't know if the town wants to take title with that imposed on it. Or a conservancy, if the Wildlands Trust of Southeastern Mass, I think they'd want to impose their own. They have their own language that they like to use and their own regulations. And I don't think they'd want that complicated with other restrictions that they don't feel necessarily apply to their use.
What's the thoughts of the staff on this?
In regard to us holding the restriction of Wildlands Trust?
No. First of all, we have the issue of the lot release. So our rules and regs say we hold 10%. Are we going to waive that? Are we going to reduce it? Do you recommend that? What's the recommendation?
I don't think you need to hold it with a 50% contingency, but I've always thought that. So
say that again.
I've always thought that you don't need to hold it because you have a 50% contingency, but it's the board's decision.
Board comments?
Yeah, I'd be in favor of waiving the 10% with the 50% contingency already in place. I think it'd definitely be excessive to maintain both. And Zoo's expressed a preference for the 50%, as I believe Jennifer has as well. So it seems like a slam dunk to me.
I mean, I'd like to release as many lots as we can from. Should we just hold one until the open space issues are all resolved so we can leverage? Or, I mean, what are the thoughts? I don't think we need to hold 5 or 6.
I think, Pat, we have leverage in building permits and occupancy permits. I don't think holding lots is necessarily all the leverage we have. I mean, we can put Lee on notice now saying that we're not going to sign, the last 2 building permits or whatever it is until he gets it done. I mean.
All right, and I know Attorney Castaneda stated that he already cleaned up the Jenny Leonard Park, which was a condition by, I believe, the 42nd building permit.
That's
Are there
correct.
any other requirements in the orders that have to be done at certain stages?
No, just the closure of access to Urbeck.
Is there, I saw Mr. Romulus said some walking trails need to be constructed to Jenny Leonard Park. Is that true?
Yeah, that was included in my last comments. that I don't think were included in the memo. I would have to go back to my notes. Give me a second.
Seems to me that, I forgot what issue, who was brought before us, but we did talk about that. We've always kept one lot, and that we didn't want to set a bad precedent by not keeping one lot. It seems to me that does not to be, it's overly onerous on the developer that if we keep one lot back.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that a 50% contingency, we need to work on that. That's too much. And I think 5 lots is too much. So I mean, I'd be okay with just one until we resolve, make sure everything's squared away and then release it. Or is there one that you don't have sold or that we could hold out for now, Attorney Castaneda?
Yeah, we've got some work to do on those the estate lots in the back to get the drives built under the power lines. So I would say, I'm looking at the plan now, so if I apologize, just bear with me, please. I believe it's lot 27. Yeah, lot 27. That's the last lot on the kind of the southerly side of Urbex Circle Extension. Southwesterly side.
So is the board okay with that as a compromise for now until we resolve, make sure that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
But I think the 50% contingency is too much alone, and I think the 10% is too much. So why don't we just so?
There was a stipulation on lot 43.
What lots are being requested? Again?
Lots 15 through 43, but if you take out lot 27, then.
So 15 to 26, and then 28 to 43? Yep. That's what we're looking to do?
Yep.
And I'll modify the release document for you and send that to you tomorrow.
All right, so do we have a motion to accept, Mr. Antonio, you're okay with the bond, correct?
That's correct.
So do we have a motion to accept the bond of, what's that amount, Ms. Storr?
$180,980.
And withhold lot 27. So we'd be releasing lots 15 to 26 and 28 to 43. Do we have a motion to do that?
Am I looking at an outdated road bond calc form? Because mine's got a total in the almost $400,000.
Yes, you're looking at I had sent a new one on Monday.
Oh, okay.
Do we have can somebody make that motion? If there's anyone?
Elijah, did you find that memo I sent you about lot 43?
Let's see.
That something had to be done before a building permit would be issued?
We're not issuing permits right now, Les. We're just releasing the lots. So.
I understand. I know, but I thought Elijah just wanted to draw that to Lee's attention.
Yeah, so prior to the issuance of building permit on lot 42, applicant shall construct walking trails and also open space documents describing the form of ownership and conservation restrictions.
Yeah, I don't believe that's lot 42. That's the 42nd lot.
Correct. It's the 42nd permit that you pulled.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so, but that's tied to a building permit, so we can track that, correct?
Yes. So I've already asked the building department to track it.
Oh, good.
So we have a request to release lots 15 to 26 and 28 to 43 and accept the bond of 183.80, correct, Les? Or 90?
180,980.
Okay.
180,000.
Can somebody make that motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to release those lots, accept the bond calculation.
Mike, by Michael, do we have a second?
Second,
Second it.
Is that by Mr. Geller?
sure.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Roll call.
Good.
Got me on that one.
I almost got to buy everybody. Mr. Jamian. Right?
Yes, I said.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Mr. Greeno,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Mr. Geller,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay. Thank you, Attorney Castagnetti.
Thank you. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Stay safe.
You too.
Good evening. Thank you.
Okay, so we have, last item is, Mr. Antonello, you're gonna sign off?
Yes. Good night, everybody. And praise the Lord for an early meeting for me.
Take care, Azu.
Good night.
Yeah,
What do you mean
too.
early meeting? What do you mean early meeting for you?
Well, I'm leaving before you.
Oh,
Good night, all.
good night.
Good night, Azu.
All right, so we have Winterberry Lane, Quail Hollow LLC, a bond release. It should be reduction, right, not request? Because they're gonna post the bond.
Right, it's a reduction of the bond amount that they need to post.
Okay, and we don't have the bond calculation in front of us, but they're requesting 27,000 off what we approved because they paved, correct?
Correct. And that was, so the original, so originally it was 103,180. Then it was revised on March 31st to 74,300. So now with a reduction of 27,000, it comes down to 47,300 is my calculation.
And just to be clear that the bond release request is just for the board, so the board knows, we don't have the money yet. Correct?
That is correct. We do not have the money yet.
So instead of paying 74.3, they're gonna pay 47.3 because they paved.
That's correct.
And we have, the compaction test came in, I saw that today, and they were fine, correct?
That's right. Ron said they passed.
All right, so we're looking for a motion to change the bond amount from 74.3 to 47.3, correct?
Correct.
Does somebody want to make that motion? Then we can discuss it.
Excuse me,
Oh, I'm sorry.
excuse me, can we speak, ask a
Oh,
question?
sure. Yeah, I didn't see that.
That's fine. I'm Jay Gormley, and I'm here with Tony Shavs. We do have the latest road calculation bond that we show printed of $67,550. The number Jennifer mentioned was one of the revisions, but then we did take an additional $5,000 off for the stormwater maintenance.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yep, you're correct.
That's okay. Which brought it down to, according to the printed figure, which brought it down to $67,550.
Yeah.
And then if we could respectfully request the reduction of the 27,000, which comprises of the 18,000 fine that we did put in with T.L. Edwards, and then the contingency of 50%, please.
We only need 40,550, correct, Mr. President?
That is correct.
So do we have a motion to do that?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to change the bond amount to 40,550. Is it?
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Was that Ray or Steve?
Yeah, it's me. Yep.
Ray?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Roll call.
Nice.
Get me that time.
So Mr. Jamian,
Yes.
Mr. Geller,
Yes.
Mr. Guarino,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, we're good.
We'd like to thank the board. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
Good night.
Good
All
night.
right, so we have minutes, but we're not going to do minutes, correct, Les?
She sent them to me, but I didn't read them this afternoon.
So they're on the agenda, but we just got those today, right? I didn't read them.
Yeah, you can wait.
She did notice a small typo with those. It lists my arrival time at 2 different times. Up at the top it says 6:42, and down in the narrative it listed as 6:40. So huge issue, obviously, but figured I'd put it out.
Okay,
Maybe it's a time zone difference.
Yeah.
Any other board, committee, liaison, member comments? And we're all good for July 1st to add as a meeting?
Yes.
All right. Do we have a motion?
Unless something else insane happens this year. There is a stadium-sized asteroid heading our way. Just throwing it out there.
Oh, okay. Want a motion to adjourn? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
By Gene. Do a second?
I'll second.
By Michael. Roll call, Mr. McDonald,
Aye. Yes.
Mr. Geller,
Yes.
Mr. Guarino,
Yes.
Mr. Jamie,
Yeah.
and I'm a yes.
Guys, I apologize, but I got kicked off the Zoom meeting. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I got kicked off, so I didn't hear your vote on Winterberry. Could you tell me what the vote was?
We reduced it to 40,000,
40,000?
550,
40,550 for the bond, okay.
and it was unanimous.
And was there release of lots or anything?
That was
We
already
already-
done.
That was already done previously.
Okay, and who did the motion?
I made the motion. I forget who
Mike,
seconded.
We can watch it. We can-
Okay.
I think Ray seconded it.
Yeah, I think I did.
You think you did, Ray?
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
Okay, thank you.
And then we had a motion to adjourn by Gene, right? And seconded by Ray?
I seconded that one.
Michael, so how quickly we forget, huh? All right, so we're adjourned, so.
Take it easy.
That's it. Thank
Bye.
you.
All right, take care.
Good night,
Good night,
everyone.
everybody.
Good night.